What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kyle Pancis. If it's your first time tuning in, please smash that subscribe button. If not, thanks for your continued support. Today we're jumping back into my 2004 Saab 9.5 Aero. If you haven't been following the channel, we got this car about 6 months ago. We've done a complete rehab to the car. It's got over 200,000 miles on it, as the title of this video will give that away. And of course, one of the things we have not touched on this car yet is any of the suspension components. And in today's video, we're gonna hop into a complete overhaul of the entire front suspension. We have new control arms which came with new bushings, and in this case, which I can show you, in this case, we also have new ball joints. Now, in some cases, you can buy these control arms without the ball joints, so be sure to note that when you're buying, that these things can come with, you can essentially piecemeal it, right? If you guys know how to remove bushings from the control arm, you can just get the bushings, you can get the control arm, you can get the full shebang, which is what I did. It has the bushings and the ball joints and the control arm. So that's kind of what we did. So there's one thing that completes the bushings and the ball joints for the control arms. We also have sway bar bushings right here. All right, I'll link all of these things in the description below. And then the other thing that I purchased at the same time was the sway bar links. So everything on the front suspension is going to be completely replaced. The only thing that's going to remain on here are the tie rod ends. But in this case, so far, the tie rod ends don't have any suspension issues or movements or play in the wheel. So we're going to leave that. But all of everything else will be replaced. Obviously, we're not touching the struts. They're fine. The strut mounts aren't making any noises, knock on wood. And they're operating as normal. So in this video, we're doing all of these upgrades and changes to get rid of some of the popping noises that we are experiencing on the road. So also, not to mention, we're getting some play in the control arm when we take a pry bar to it. So the bushings are shot. Who knows when they've been replaced. So it's a little rainy out here. I'm gonna get that thing in the garage right here, get to work. Stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Alright guys, so step one, I usually take the hydraulic jack, lift up the front of the subframe, get it up on jack stand so it's nice and secured. But the reason why I do that on this job in particular is when you go ahead and put on these sway bar links and also remove the sway bar bushings, you need to make sure that that bar doesn't have any stress on it. So when it's connected to both struts, which is what it does through the sway bar link, it allows it to be free of any stress. So when you go in there to remove any bolts, there's no tension on anything, and everything will just line up the way it should on the reinstall. Let's hop into it. I'm going to start on the driver's side, work our way over to the passenger. Alright guys, I'm going to run through this real quick for the starters, and then I'll probably try to announce it if I can throughout the video, but it's pretty straightforward. So we're not going to get to the bushing just yet right now, but just to get yourself prepared for tools here on this task is you'll need an 18mm socket, and depending on the aftermarket or whatnot material that you have that's on the car, you'll use a 17mm on the inside of this sway bar link. All right, if not, you can go ahead and get like a vice grip to stop it from spinning out. So 18mm on the bolt here, or excuse me, on the nut. On the front here, you're gonna have, there's a 16mm size socket here on the outside, and then on the inside there, you're gonna have an 18mm wrench on the nut itself. So that will back that out. On the rear side here, this is the other rear bushing. This is where these tend to go bad faster than the front, obviously, for obvious reasons. But this underneath has two bolts going into the subframe, and that is a 15mm, and that's what I'm going to use on this, is a 15mm socket there. So that's the inside and the sway bar link. Now to drop the ball joint and free it up, it's pretty straightforward. You guys can see right here, this is another 16mm nut on the outside, or on the front side, and then over here, on this side is 17 millimeters. So you can just do the math on that, 17 and then a 16, and it'll pull that and release the ball joint itself. So I'm gonna start with the ball joint, and then I'll work my way to the inside there to remove the control arm here. Pretty straightforward job here, so let's knock it out. All right, boys, we got ourselves our control arm here. So you guys saw me remove these two bolts. These bolts back here, just so you know, are 14 millimeter, not 15. So make sure you guys note that to self. So I removed these two, and then obviously once I did that, this was able to remove from the frame, which then allowed me to easily remove the ball joint from its position on the suspension, right? So I'm gonna do the exact reverse on the install. I'm gonna go ahead and install the ball joint first into its position, and then I'll go ahead and maneuver the rest of it into place in the frame, just to do it that way since it was easy to do on the way out. So this bushing here, these bushings can go bad. This one doesn't seem to be too bad. It's a little loose. If I were to just show you guys here, you guys can see some movement there. It's not terrible here. These bushings are not completely chewed out, but we're in here for a couple bucks. Might as well just replace it. So let's get the new one on, and then we'll move to the sway bar link, and then the sway bar bushings. Alright guys, so this is the new unit, new control arm. Here's our new ball joint, like I mentioned earlier. And of course this has got brand new bushings everywhere. This came loose, this just tightens down, but I'm gonna leave this loose for the meantime. So when I go to install this into the subframe, it's easy to kind of maneuver it around and make sure that it's in there properly. So let's go ahead, and like I said earlier, let's reinstall the ball joint first, and then we'll go ahead and do the rest. All right. We got that nut tightened down on the outside there. What it does is essentially brings this two together, tightening down the bushing there and tightening down everything there. So everything is nice and solid there. All the 3 points are together. Now let's move on to the sway bar link and then the bushing. Sway bar link again is two nuts rather. 18. This should slide out. Let's rock it out. Alright boys, we wrestled out the old sway bar link. Little patience there. Now we have a 10 millimeter socket on the front bolt of the sway bar bushing bracket. So we'll go ahead and remove that. Alright guys, I turned the camera off to get the last rear bolt off of that bushing. I didn't back it all the way out because the bracket actually will slide on and off. And the reason why I would turn it off, got impatient, was I was actually going the wrong way on the bolt, and you know, been working at this for like 45 minutes to an hour. So it was like one of those unnecessary setbacks that you have when you work on cars. But here we are, I got it backed out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and try to slide the bracket over the bushing and slide it out of the way to remove the actual old bushing. So let's get into it. Not the most fun project, I will tell you that. This is where this is. You guys can see how loose it is. So I'm gonna grab the pry bar here and pull that up and out of the way as best as possible. Watch it all go down. We have new control arm bushing, new control arms with all the bushings. We got the new sway bar links. We've got that new sway bar bushing in there. And that's going to conclude this side on the driver's side. The next part of this job is to do the passenger side, which I'm personally going to save till tomorrow. I'm not going to record it, but it's pretty much the same process as this. And then what I'm going to do is in the following episode from this one, once that's concluded, is I'm going to take this thing on a drive and give you guys the update review of everything, how it handles sounds, noises, pops, etc., etc. I suspect we're going to address it. Time kind of got away from me because I got stuck on that one bolt. If I would have had it done properly, I would have just been able to knock this all out, but I wasted probably an hour on that, unfortunately, so I'm not going to do it anymore today since we're out of time. But there's the control arm for this side, The only difference on this side compared to the other side is that there is a bracket for this car that attaches to the control arm, which is for the headlights leveling sensor, which sits on the control arm. So that's the only difference on the passenger side compared to the driver side. And of course, not all cars have that. So just make sure you guys check that out beforehand. But it's just a bolt, unscrews, nut and bolt that unscrews the sensor bracket. And of course, you just reinstall it to the new control arm. No big deal, not hard to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I'm not going to conclude in this video, but I just wanted to give you guys the rundown of all the processes in place. The rear bolt on the sway bar bushing is what held me up. Like I said earlier, I was trying to turn it the wrong way, and you know, it was going at it and going at it and going at it, hurting my hand and all this stuff. None of it made any sense. And then I kind of walked away, came back, and if any of you have ever worked on a car, you get stuck, you seem to walk away and you come back and it seems to, for some reason, fix itself and goes away. So it's kind of exactly what happened here with this car. So I'll leave you guys off on that. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, watching this. This 200,000 mile Saab is literally brand new. I mean, it just, everything has been done. I was just under there checking it out. I can actually just go under there real quick and show you. The alternator looks like it's brand new in there as well. So I'm not gonna go under there. Forget it. Just take my word for it. There's just, it's very clean underneath the car. I know we talked about oil leaking. There's nothing under there right now, thank God. So it's looking good. Alternator looks good. And tomorrow we'll finish up this passenger side, and then we'll take this thing for a cruise, and we'll conclude it. So thanks for watching. See you guys next episode. Stay tuned.